activities of militants on our own soil against our own people has resulted in large-scale destruction, killing of innocent people, and suffering humanity in the form of internally displaced persons. A clear battle line is emerging in the region. That is, religious forces who are pro-Taliban and motivated versus secular forces who are anti-Taliban and are not motivated. The issue of governance is reflected in poor leadership at the center, province, and non-existent in Pata. Whatever little governance is there lacks the will and capacity to deliver. The primary source of the problem rests in Afghanistan, and unless conditions improve there, it will not be possible to stabilize the tribal belt NWF in Pakistan itself. The solution has to be found in a regional context. From America's perspective, Pakistan has lost control over FATA, and by implication, its sovereignty over the area, and is incapable of coping with the problem. Some findings and conclusions as a result of the study. The overall law and order situation is gloomy and depressing. In fact, there is a feeling of helplessness. Law-abiding citizens feel insecure and threatened. Those who could help have left the troubled areas for safer places. Others in very large numbers have under compulsion been forced out and are languishing as internally displaced persons. The rate of the government is very weak, and with the passage of time getting weaker. The authority and influence of local Taliban is no longer restricted to FATA, but is spreading to other areas. Criminals and gangsters' activities are on the increase in the central districts, where they operate without fear and hindrance. The situation in the troubled areas has been handed over to the army, who are in authority. This has made governance by the civil authority and political leadership ineffective. Law enforcing agencies appear confused and are merely reacting to a situation. They have no roadmap, vision, or viable plan for the resolution of the conflict. The heart of the person of the law enforcement agencies is not in the prolonged, indefinite anti-terror war, which is seen as a proxy war for the United States in return for billions of dollars to the government of Pakistan. The law enforcing agencies are shy of casualties and tend to avoid combat, rely mainly on destruction by jet aircrafts, gunship helicopters, artillery, tanks, etc. And as we know, these are of little effect against the Taliban insurgency in the terrain they are operating. They lack initiative, are heavy and cumbersome in equipment and logistics, slow in reaction by the infantry. Whereas the Taliban have the initiative, are light and exercise greater liberty of action. They strike at will and achieve maximum with minimum resources. They have a cause to fight for and are not afraid of death. The role and impact of intelligence agencies, in particular the ISI in the region, has reduced. As a result of foreign intelligence agencies, they have been emboldened and have made successful ingress to destabilize us. And finally, the hard reality is that the United States will be increasingly hostile towards Pakistan. It is high time to rethink our policy and maybe alter course in our own national interest. Keeping in view the Indo-US strategic partnership, threat on our eastern front, and indifference of the United States to our sovereignty, we need to review and negotiate our existing role and policy on anti-terrorism. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll now make some recommendations. And the first one is the local government system was introduced introduced, as you know, in haste. And over the years, because of its poor performance, has led to an administrative mess. Law and order has been kept out of the domain of the local government, which has resulted in increase and unrest, promotion of corruption, and grievances of the people. In fact, the system, in particular the Nazim, is part of the problem. The situation in the local needs should be corrected at the local level for improved administrative governance and administrative ability. The conflict between the local government and provincial government must end. A serious thought, therefore, needs to be given to the continuation or otherwise of the local government system. The deteriorating law and order situation is a serious challenge and threat to our national security. This needs to be met with a vibrant, comprehensive and vibrant policy taking on board all stakeholders. Next, our national interest must come first, always and every time. Existing policy and the use of force has not achieved the desired results. In fact, the impact of the policy has been disastrous. There is an urgent need for a credible and earnest effort at reconciliation. The United States and its allies in its war against terror must be made to realize that the way we are fighting our local Taliban is a mistake and is doing us immense harm and is counterproductive to the war against terror. Pressure on our government to go against our national interests must be resisted. Pakistan's intelligence agencies, in particular ISI, must be strengthened and made effective to counter foreign intelligence agencies against their nefarious designs. The law enforcing agencies, that is the military, frontier scouts, frontier constabulary and police, needs motivation and training to effectively fight terrorism. The combat efficacy of our forces in frontier warfare and counterinsurgency needs to be enhanced. The situation of governance in the troubled areas is drastically different from the past. The administrative structure has been demolished and has at present become irrelevant. We have to rebuild and strengthen institutions in order to establish the writ of the government. Law enforcing agencies must step back and allow greater freedom and create a conducive environment for the civil setup and political leadership to assert itself. The present state of anarchy is because of poor or no governance. Pakistan appears to be in a self-destruct mode. The power bases, that is the politicians, the clerics, and the army are all responsible. Each they can behave as if they are right and others are wrong, and that they are the only one responsible for the fate of Pakistan. There is a need for all the power bases to coordinate and contribute to a single unified vision for the state. We need to first understand and analyze all aspects of the problem and then build a peace-building initiative on the basis of that understanding.